Welcome to episode 2 of the Lifting Cues podcast, the podcast for lifters, providing you all the cues you need to maximize your training and nutrition to reach your goals and answering all of your fitness related questions. Today's cue, the most and least important thing in fitness, workout programming. But how can this be? Great cue, let me tell you. But first, I'm Coach Quinn, aka Coach Q, your host for the show. I am an online and in-person fitness coach specializing in training and nutrition plans for strength and physique development. I've been a lifter for over half of my life, now in my 30s, starting to compete in powerlifting and really trying to maximize that. I'm going to bring all of that together to give you my cues for training and answer all of your questions. Now, on to workout programming. How can it be the most and least important thing in fitness? So it is the most important thing because it is the foundation of our training. It is our roadmap in the gym and how we reach our goals and continue to progress. Without this roadmap, we have nothing. And again, it's not just with training. We have a goal and a roadmap to get to, whatever the end destination is. This goes for our nutrition, our recovery. Everything has to be in alignment. But without this foundation of a workout program, we really have nothing. So we're just that dude in the gym still doing the same workouts every single week, getting the same exact results, looking the same exact way, month in, month out, year in, year out. We all know this dude. Hey man, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm gonna work some chest. He, does a circuit around the chest machines, does some triceps, bounces out. Same thing on leg day, same thing on back day, still doing arms, arm day, whatever it is. So we all know these people, and just going through the motions never feels good. So having that roadmap toward your goals is gonna be key to getting us where we want. So that is why the workout program is the most important thing. It is that foundation. Now, there's some basic principles that all workout programs must have, but all of them will work if you put in the effort. And that's why I call it the least important thing, because really it comes down to, if you put in the effort, even a bad plan will get you results. Maybe it won't get you the results that you want, but you are going to get something out of it. So if you do have a very specific strength goal or muscle goal and you don't build the program correctly, sure, it won't get you that goal, but if you push it hard enough, you're going to grow or build something. So it really doesn't matter what you do, as long as it's something you enjoy and you're going to push hard at it, you will end up getting some sort of result. So that's why I guess it would be the least important thing, because it doesn't really matter what it is, but if you push it hard enough, it will matter. And I guess the thing is too, is having an actual workout program is going to help you push harder, because you are doing something very specific, and it should be designed in a way that you enjoy what you're doing and you enjoy working toward the goal that you have. It's not just a goal because someone told you it should be, that you should squat 500 pounds. If you don't want to squat 500 pounds, it's okay. You don't have to build a program for that. But knowing why you're doing your program and what you're doing will make it important to you, and that should matter. So let's go over how we actually build a workout program. I just started building a new workout program, so it's on my mind, and I really want to go over my process with you and then explain how it could apply to you as well. So for me, I have to plan it out in my, a macro cycle. So what we call a macro cycle is, maybe that's the whole year, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's just seasonal. Maybe we train seasonally based on, our job and what's going on in our life. Train more in the winter when you have more time inside, and train less in the summer when you're traveling and doing more things outdoors, or something along those lines. So seasonally can be. Or if you're a competitive athlete, like I'm trying to be right now, you have, off-season and in-season styles of training. So your off-season is, all the time that leads up in between, competitions before you quote-unquote peak for a show. So maybe it's, 12 weeks that you work to peak for a show or a competition or something like that. Or, if you are a bodybuilder and you're cutting for a long amount of time, that can be a thing. So I am just going into my first ever, powerlifting off season. I just started this journey as a powerlifter, just competed in my first meet. I know I want to do it again. I'm all in. I'm addicted to this thing. So let's dive into an off season and how the program gets built. So I'm building out a program that's going to get me all the way through until November. So that is my macro cycle. So that's how you kind of, now I know where my goal is. I know what the goal is, when it is, how long it's going to take me to get there. Now I can build out each individual phase of that goal. So start off this off season, I do want to, cut a little bit of weight. I want to cut some fat off of my body because, I was kind of eating up to the show. Or the competition. I keep calling it a show. I have a little bit of bodybuilder in me, so I think that's why it's going to happen. So when you hear me say show or competition, in my case, it's the same thing. I am not going to do a bodybuilding show. I have considered it since I was 23, but I just don't think I don't think the bodybuilding route is for me. Just the food the food mindset. It's hard, body image, sort of issues that creep up from the past. It's just not for me. Sidebar here, but that's I want to give you a little bit about me, and that's probably why I will not be focused on bodybuilding training. I do love it. I love studying it and understanding it. I love building muscle, so that's always going to be part of my programming and part of my content, but the strength training for me and competing in strength is a much better fit. So for you, understanding, what fits for you, what you like to do is going to help you stay consistent and stay, disciplined on your journey. It's going to help you understand and remember why you're doing what you're doing. So when it comes to lifting some heavy weights, I know why I'm doing it because I remember that feeling of when I was competing and what it felt like to hit a big lift in a meet and what it felt like to miss one, what it felt like to make mistakes or be weak in an area where I could have done better, and understanding like what that means. And that'll keep me motivated and disciplined on this journey. On the days when I don't want to put some heavy ass weight on my back, I'm going to remember those moments. So understanding why you're doing it, what the goal is, and that long-term approach is going to be really, really key to building a perfect workout program to bring it all the way back. So as I start to build out this off-season cycle, the first thing I want to do is lose some of this fat because, again, I ate up to where I wanted to be a little bit. I've been, just eating more food than I want to. I'm more focused on it. I'm hungrier than I feel like I need to be, waking up and feeling hungry and like almost needing to eat. I don't love that feeling, and I want to roll that back a little bit, roll the food focus back, cut some fat, and then be able to bulk up again in a healthier fashion so that I can be more muscular at 198 where I, want to compete and just feel better at that weight. So I'm going to cut some fat, build myself back up slowly. So I'm going to do an 8-week sort of cut. So I'm cutting down the calories, bringing everything down. So that means the start of my training, the volume is going to have to come down because for me specifically, I don't love to do a ton of volume. So building out your program in a way that works, again, for your goals in each phase. So 8 weeks of lower volume. I'm still going to focus on strength because strength doesn't take quite as much volume. It won't take quite as much out of me. So I can still focus on maybe building, but at least maintaining my strength and, maintaining some muscle. I'll push enough sets to failure in this program that will allow me to maintain muscle. So I'm hopefully not gonna lose too much as I lose some weight. I'm maybe looking to lose like 10 pounds. So if we look at it of how much muscle you might lose in that time frame, it would be maybe a quarter of the weight would be the muscle loss. So that would, bring me around 2.5-ish pounds of muscle, maybe. But with the amount of protein I eat and hopefully the way that I train, I can lose maybe even a little bit less than that in that phase. So as I build out this first 8-week phase of the off season, first thing I have to decide is how many days a week am I going to work out? Now, I am very lucky in that I can work out basically as many days in the week as I want. I work in the gym. I don't assume that all of you do this as well, or all of you can, just quit your job, go work in the gym, live in there, or get, be successful enough to quit your job and just be a competitive lifter, and be able to get that. So understanding how many days a week you can work out is going to be key to building the program and how the program is structured and built. So when I look at my lifestyle and what I like to do training wise, I like a 4-day split. I love to train in an upper lower split. And because I can fit that into my schedule, that's exactly what I'm going to do, especially coming off kind of peaking for bodybuilding, working out, or powerlifting. Sorry. See, told you it's still in there. Peaking for powerlifting, I was doing, really the 3 days a week kind of squat, bench, deadlift, or, squat, bench, deadlift, bench, squat, bench, like training that way. I don't love to do it. Again, I love the strength and I love the competitiveness of it, so I can do it for that short period of time. But now I'm going to transition into something that I like much more. So it's going to motivate me to really get in there and get after it. So making sure that you like what you're doing and you're doing it with a purpose, but how you fit something you like into your program is going to be clutch. So let's figure out how to do that. So I have the 4 days a week. I have my upper lower split. Again, coming off of this competition, I know what my goals are to start is I want to strengthen my weaknesses. My weakness right now is my core, my lower back. That's really the weakest points. And I am dealing with a shoulder injury. So I'm going to focus all of my, push training on kind of building this shoulder back up and building my ability to push back up. So that's kind of where my focus is. So for each individual workout, the beginning of that workout is going to be focused specifically on strengthening the core or strengthening my shoulder. So for my first lower body day of the week, I'm going to work on squats. I'll work a little bit more volume, again, just to hold my core in place, but I'll also still work heavy because I love to do it. And it is important to specificity is key in your program. So whatever the goal is, my goal in November is to squat 500 pounds at least, hopefully more. So, but if I'm not squatting, I can't hope to improve my squat. So I'm going to continue to squat. I'm just going to switch up the training a little bit so it's not quite as heavy and as fatiguing, but still getting some more volume. But again, no more than like 8 reps. So again, still working in kind of a strength focused area. So working strength at the beginning of each workout. Then I'm going to have a pull day, which is going to be focused on, I'm still going to deadlift as well because I just love deadlifting. I'll never take it out of my programs completely. So I'll focus some deadlift and then some upper, some back exercises to strengthen my back, that posterior chain. Always going to be super important, especially when my deadlift breaks down the way that it does and my squat even breaks down at the core before my legs give out. So making sure that I'm focusing on still strengthening that up, working in some low reps, not quite as heavy again, but still, getting that strength work in. Then my other lower body day, I'm going to start to front squat. So I think having that extra core engagement on the front squat is really going to help me. Now, I hate front squats. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. There is nothing that will make me like them. My wrist mobility sucks. So got to work on that to do it. I can't do this because it's just awkward. I guess my legs are stronger than my shoulders, obviously. So holding enough weight up on my shoulders, it just, nothing feels good with front squats, but I'm going to do them because it's going to strengthen my core. I'm also going to throw good mornings into that workout. I hate those as well. But again, if your squat is breaking down at the core, I need to work in that range of motion to strengthen the lower back, to strengthen the core, to keep that as neutral as possible on my squat, especially being a low bar squatter that squats down, with my chest basically facing the floor the entire, most of the way through the lift. I need to work in that range of motion. And I've never really done it, again, because I hate it. So maybe working in some lower volume, good mornings and front squats will help me. That is the goal here. So that is why it is programmed in. And then my last upper body day is going to be, again, shoulder focused, finding a pressing variation that I can do without pain and kind of progressing it from there. So when you're trying to program through pain, that's the way to do it. It is not to avoid it completely. It is not to stop doing everything. It is not to just do rehab exercises. I am going to have some rehab exercises in there because they're a great warm up for my shoulder and everything like that. But I'm going to press. I'm still going to press. I'm going to press overhead. I'm going to press, horizontal. I'm going to do both pressing variations. Again, understanding the goal. The goal is to get back to pressing. If I do not press at all, it is going to be really hard to know when I'm ready to press again or to be able to progress back. I can do all the rehab exercises in the world, but then I'm still going to have to go back to finding what range of motion works to start pressing again. So why not just do both at the same time? So making sure that your program is specific to you as well. So now, if you don't have 4 days a week, how do you break out your program? So we can break it out in a million different ways. We can start with 2 days a week. If I only had 2 days a week, it would definitely be 2 full body days. Again, because I want to make sure that I get enough volume in to be able to train my entire upper body in 1 day is going to take a lot of work. And then I'm not going to train it again for an entire week. I just don't love that. I don't love trying to squeeze all that volume in. So figuring out how the volume fits into what you're doing. A full body workout is probably going to be, much more suitable for you. Again, starting out each workout, what is most important? How do we get enough volume of what is important? Remember, 10 to 20 working sets for, muscle building, and maybe a little bit less, but you're probably still going to want to be in that 10 to 20 working sets, even for strength. You might be able to get away with like 6 to 9 with some minimum effective dose training. This might be really helpful if you are strapped for time. So understanding that you don't need quite as much volume for strength, if that is your goal, getting a few heavy sets in at the beginning of your workout can be, a really great way to prioritize your strength. You can do, squat and bench on day 1, and then maybe, deadlift and bench on day 2, or maybe you really do want to focus on your back more. You're just a, strength focus or just a longevity, general health, strength focused individual. You can do like a deadlift and back day could be that second full body day. But I do like to keep them pretty much even as far as, the movement patterns that you're fitting into each of those full body workouts. Just to make sure that you hit it. And if you need to adjust a day because your schedule is crunched, that's why you can only work out 2 days a week, then you can make sure that, if I need to move a day, it doesn't affect the other day that I need to work out. Even if I have to work out back-to-back days, I can still get the work in. I'm not too fatigued in any one area. So if you have 2 days, full body is the way to go. If you have 3 days, I like to go upper, lower, full. That would be the way I like to train, or you can still train 3 full body days. But I hate full body training, guys. As a power lifter, that might sound kind of strange, but it's really more about specific lifts when it comes to actual powerlifting. But for me, I really like to train, one half of my body. I like to be more focused. I like to feel that burn. I like to feel the pump in whatever, muscle group or part of my body that I'm working. Again, that bodybuilder coming out in me. So I like to find a way that I can train that way. So a power building style of training really works for me much better. So focusing on strength at the beginning of the workout, when I'm fresh, when I have that focus, that intention, I can push some heavy weight. And then as I go, I'll bring the weight down, volume and intensity up, proximity to failure, get that pump, get my bodybuilding fix in, and then get out of there. So that's the way I would do a 3-day split. You could also, like I said, do 3 full body. The 4-day split is, like I said, upper lower. Upper lower is my preferred method. You could also do push pull legs. a full body or like weak points day. So if you have a muscle group that's lagging or a strength movement that's lagging, focusing on it on that day could be a great way to do that as well. If you're lucky enough to get, 5 days of training in, or you like to train 5 days a week, you can go, push, pull legs, upper, lower. Those upper, lower days, again, can be more weak point days. You could do, what would it be? Upper, lower, full. You could do, push, pull legs, full. Either way, once you get to 5-6 days a week, you can really break out your training however you want. Because you can really fit in a lot. If you have 5 or 6 days a week, those are the times I recommend kind of the bodybuilding splits. But again, just make sure that you can really commit to that. Like I said, I can be in the gym 7 days a week most of the time, but what about those weekends where I need to travel somewhere, or, the days of the week where I'm super busy with clients or other work that needs done? Maybe I can't or don't want to train that day, or I need to stay up late one night and I can't train the next day. If I have a 7-day-a-week program fit in, I'm going to miss a day, and that's going to throw off either my entire schedule or just mess everything up. So making sure that you can commit to what you can commit to so that you can plan your workout out. Anything extra is going to be bonus. So like I said, for this 8 weeks, I'm going to focus on keeping my volume down, working on strengthening up my weak points so that when the 8 weeks is over, now this is where we get interesting. This is where we get into those different mesocycles. When that 8 weeks is over, I'm going to go into kind of a slow bulk, hopefully all the way through to November. If I end up bulking too fast, maybe there will be some mini cuts in there that I can program in. But I'm basically going to slow bulk all the way through to November, hopefully somewhere around that time. Maybe even I think 12 weeks before is, October, September, August. So toward the middle of August is when I would start probably my powerlifting specific, like a 12-week program. So I'd probably want to bulk. I'm going to go from the beginning of July, hopefully through, October would be the bulk that I would go on. Nice and slow, again, trying to minimize as much fat gain, put on as much muscle as possible. So that's where the program is going to shift. Maybe now I'm doing, 4 days a week, but I'm even cranking up the intensity. And my other days are not going to be as much cardio days as, either explosive or high volume days to build some muscle. Like, I'm going to take advantage of the food that I'm eating and really look to build in that phase. So making sure that you're phasing your training appropriately is going to be really clutch. So we've broken out, how many days a week we have, and then we're going to phase our training. Now, if you're trying to phase your training, like I said, thinking about it maybe yearly, over each individual season. So for most people who work a job year round, so you teachers and people like that, this may not apply to you, or you may need to adjust it just a little bit. But most people, during the fall and winter months, you're not doing quite as much. Maybe not in the fall, but definitely in those winter months into spring, there's not quite as much going on, travel-wise. Maybe there's more food involved because, the holidays and things like that. So maybe we take that time to be our big volume, gaining blocks of time. So we're focusing on, we can get into the gym a couple more days a week. We can increase our frequency, increase our volume. We're increasing food so we can increase intensity and things like that. So maybe that's the blocks where we really focus out how to program that. And then, as we get into the spring and late spring and summer months, we're starting to think about cutting down. We want to, look good at the pool. We want to feel good for the summer so that we can move around and do things and show off all that muscle that we built all winter. So maybe you pull volume back. Maybe it's a little bit more cardio. Maybe you're just not in the gym as much because you're traveling in the summer, so you can only get in a few days a week. So again, we're going to pull the volume back, but crank the intensity up, make sure we crush those workouts, and then, get through the summer. And then we kind of continue to go back through this phase if that's, your general fitness approach. For me, like I said, it's going to be kind of in between shows. Like, what is the goal of what do I need to build in between shows specifically? I've been lucky enough to train for a majority of my life. So I feel like I have my musculature kind of where I need it. Now it's focusing on what are my weak points in strength and how do I bring those up? So I'm going to look at, the seasonal approach to that. And that's how I'm going to program my training. So if we go all the way back, we're programming this cutting phase. I'm going to work on the 8 weeks of strengthening up my weak points. Now, do you need to change up your program every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months? It's hard to say. This is very individualized to you. So as long as you are able to progressively overload your program, and that is going to be a key thing of any program, is ensuring that it can be progressed. If you're doing things like the reason that, coaches and trainers hate on like Bosu ball exercises or watching fucking Joel Seedman hit guys in the head with his exercise ball is because there is no progression to this exercise. How hard is he hitting him in the head with that exercise ball? We don't know. And he doesn't know. He's not tracking that. He can't. So there is no progression to this exercise. You're just doing it because it looks cool for Instagram. But if there is no true progression or you're going to tap out at some point, then it's not a good program. It is not treated the way that it should be. But if you plan out a program that properly allows you to progress, you have some sort of progression method and some sort of goal progression in mind, then you can continue the program for as long as it is working. You don't really need to make too many adjustments as long as you're able to either go up in weight or go up in reps as long as your program allows for that. But if you don't have a program that is progressed and you just do the same 3 sets of 5 every single week with the same weight, then what are you even doing? Like, why are we even training? Like, sure, it's good to move your body and stuff, but like, you tell me your time is valuable. Let's not waste it with some shit program and just going through the motions. So let's plan our program out accordingly. We're going to make sure that we continue to make progress. So for me, I like to do the same exercises for probably about at least 4 weeks, usually 6 to 8. And here's why. Because to get good at an exercise, to be able to progress, it takes time to get good at the movement. When we're trying to develop strength, we need to develop the neuromuscular skills and the motor skills to be able to do the movement to then get better at it. And then as we get better, we can put more weight on, we can get stronger. If we don't give ourselves any time to do that, then how do we know if we're making any progress? So what I'll do is I'll do the same exact workout for at least 2 weeks, being the same exact rep ranges. And the second week, I will try to go up in weight. I'll call this my acclimation phase, getting acclimated to the program. So I'll do the first week, really just feeling out my weights that I'm using, my RPE, trying to get to the point where it is written out. I want to get to the right intensity with the right weight and the right volume, something that feels good. Okay, great. Did that. Second week, I will come back. I'll do that again, and I'll try to make progress and starting where I ended the last workout. So I'll start there, and I'll try to continue to progress. If it feels like I can, then maybe we keep that going for the next, 4 weeks, or it would be 2 weeks, so 4 weeks in total. We do it for a month, and if it comes to a point where I stall out, so maybe I'm doing 3 sets of 5 on an exercise, for example. First week, I do 250, 250, 250. All right, cool. That felt pretty good. I was feeling it out. I chose my weight correctly. Perfect. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was 225, and then I was like, wow, that was way too easy. I jumped to 245, and that was way too easy. And then I did 265, and that was okay. That was about right. Next workout, I'm starting at 265. I see what the intensity is on that first set. Maybe I can make a jump. Maybe I can't. I just do 265 for 3 sets. Okay, Well, I've made progress. My volume load on that 3 sets of 5 has gone up. I went from 225, 245, 265 to now I'm 265, 265, 265. Boom. That's a big volume load jump. So then the next week I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do this again. And then I start with 265, see where the intensity is. Maybe I can push it to 270, then maybe 275 on the next set. Now my volume load has gone up. I'm continuing to progress. If I get to a point where I tap out on those sets of 5, I just can't do any more weight for a set of 5, then I will probably the next week drop the reps down. I'll go down to 3. So then I can get a little bit heavier of a weight. And I'll repeat this same process, doing it with 3 reps. So I'll find the weight that works for 3 for the first week. Second week, I'm going to do 3 again. If I can make progress, okay, great. 1 more week. Now we're at, 6 weeks of training of the same exact workout, but we just condense the reps. Then, once 3 gets to the point where it's, not really progressing any further, I feel like it's just going to take me too long to get any further. Either A, I need to switch up the exercise, and this is where now I'm really acclimated to this movement, so I can do maybe some things that make it harder. I can add in some cluster sets or drop sets, or I can work on tempo, I can work with pauses or something like that. If I have a weak point in the movement, like the bottom of a squat, or on my knees at a deadlift, I can work some pauses. Like, this is where we can start to add in that. But if we didn't do any of that acclimation period, how can we start with adding pauses or things like that? We don't know how to, we can't progress those as easily. So if you start out with some fancy program that has all this tempo and pauses to it, it may not be the right place to start. So making sure that you start in the right place with just your basic exercises, get acclimated to the movements, get really freaking good at them, and keep making progress until you can't anymore. Then we can start to get a little fancier. Okay, now we've done that. We've made all the progress that we wanted. So, in my case, I've strengthened my core. My core feels great. I can now squat what I could at the meet for, one really pretty rep. The meet, weight 485 was my squat max. It wasn't a pretty rep, but it got done. Now I can do it really pretty. Now I can start to, peak for that lift. So I've done, maybe 12 weeks or, 16 weeks of this kind of progression method of getting stronger in what I needed to, and now I can start to peak. So I've built the program in a way that is designed to continue me progressing in the way that I want to. And then once I progress to the point where I can't really get any further, or I've achieved the goal that I needed to, because I know how strong I need to get, in order to lift the weight that I want. I need to squat 500 pounds. Until I can do that, I need to continue to progress these other lifts that bring my weak points up. So that's how I'm going to build the program. And that's how you can build your program as well. So say, seasonally, you want to your goal is to just get as strong and jacked as possible. So you have the fall and winter months when you have more time in the gym. Let's freaking crush it. Let's maximize those 6 months. Let's get, 4 or 5 days a week of, hard bodybuilding, high volume, high intensity training. Eat the foods, get all that muscle in. We're going to do that for, whatever our 6-month period is. Maybe it's October, or let's say September when the kids go back to school. We'll say September through, April. So that gives us 8 months-ish of, hard training and hard building. Great. Now we have May, June. We're going to get nice and shredded. 4th of July comes around. We stay in that shredded state. We, pull. This is where we've started to pull the volume back. We do more cardio. We're getting more movement, but we're not in the gym quite as much. But, July, August, we've enjoyed ourselves. We've had a great summer. We felt good about ourselves. And then we go right back into kind of that bulking phase. However it works out for you. But we plan it out. So there's goals in mind. We're going to progress that big strength effort as long as we can. So having movement patterns and progression methods that work for us and allow us to make the progress that we need to see the gains in strength and the gains in muscle that we want. And we have, goals in mind, and we can always adjust, as long as we have that long-term goal in mind. If we ever gain too much weight, we can pull back a little bit, we can pull back on the calories, we can do a little mini cut, we can fit those in as long as the program is progressed smartly and the right way. So without a progressive program, we can't do any of this. Without that long-term plan, we also can't do any of this. So that's really how we're going to build out that perfect program that works for you. Again, the works for you part is really the biggest thing. Don't lose sight of the fact that any program can work, and it will work if you work the program. So to reiterate and summarize kind of what the plan is to build the perfect workout program. So we need to look at the long-term cycle. What is the cycle that we need, or what is the cycle that we have to build? Are we building seasonally? Are we looking at an entire year? What is it specifically that we're doing? And then we break it down into, okay, during each time frame in there, how often can we train? Then we build out each week. From there, then we build out each month. And then, we continue to progress month to month, or, 12-week phase to 12-week phase, and just making sure that whatever that is progressive toward our goal. We're not doing things that are just completely random. Maybe you have, during the year, you have times where you want to do, endurance races. So making sure that you prioritize the time and, your nutrition for that. And then you focus on getting strong after that in the winter when there aren't endurance races. So really prioritizing your program is going to allow you to build the perfect workout program for you. And again, you will get results as long as you work hard. You won't get results if you don't work hard. You can never outmaneuver or outplan or anything a lack of effort. A lack of effort will destroy your results and your goals faster than anything. If you cannot maintain the effort and maintain the discipline, then you can't, and that consistency, then you really don't have anything to go on. So that's why the workout programming is so important. And I really wanted to, go over this and go over kind of my thought process on it, because it's one of the things that I love more than anything is workout programming. I love writing programs. I love, building them and selecting exercises and sequencing exercises. And I didn't even really talk about that enough, but how you select exercises that are very specific to your goals and how you sequence them in a workout is also very important. I'll just touch on that real fast because I really do love it. I think that's probably the most overlooked piece of workout programming that I think people just really, really fuck up. Anytime I've ever been in a commercial gym, you see some people start a workout with some stuff and then they do a bunch of random shit and you're just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing deadlifts after you've done 8 other exercises and now you can barely deadlift anything with any sort of good form? It's just like, don't put your most fatiguing exercise toward the end of your workout. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But that's why, selecting exercises and sequencing them properly, I think, is probably one of the other important parts of programming. So knowing how many days a week you have, what is the goal? What is the goal of each of those workouts? Making sure that that is first in the program. Like, for instance, a lot of people want to know how to grow their calves. If you really want to grow your calves, put calves at the beginning of your workout. Don't put them at the end. I can guarantee you, if I have calf raises at the end of my workout, I can definitely talk myself out of that shit. So you've done squats and lunges and leg curls and leg extensions, and you've crushed it. You've done awesome. Now it's like, hey, you got 5 sets of calf raises to failure. Fuck you, I do. I'm not doing that. So And granted, if you guys know me, I'm blessed enough to not have to do the calf raises, but you're not going to do what's not important to you. Don't tell me that you want to grow your biceps and you only do biceps exclusively at the end of your workout, because what happens if that workout gets cut short for some reason, or you're just really tired that day and you did your back training and then you go into bicep work and it just doesn't work out. So exercise selection and sequencing, super, super important. Again, specificity is key. And, the most important thing should be the most important thing. So making sure that it is, and it's prioritized in your program in the way that works into your week. So again, don't tell me biceps are your thing and you have a back and biceps day in your workout program. And, all your back work is at the beginning and then you do biceps. Like, your biceps are going to be tired. They've been working on your back stuff. And then, you're going to be fatigued. You're not going to push that as hard. So making sure that you sequence the exercises correctly. If you want to do back and biceps, sweet, but just make them, the beginning of your workout. Don't put them at the end. Start with it. Start fresh, push that intensity, and then you can you can maintain your back work after that. And that's the other thing too, is like, if you want to grow a very specific muscle group, maybe something else has to take a back seat. Maybe you just focus on maintenance for something else in your program while you're trying to build something else. I think I spent like 6 months building my back up, because I just really, my lats have always been underdeveloped. I think my insertions just don't really allow me to get that wide back. I kind of have a wide waist, so I really needed some wider lats. And I decided to basically forego chest training in all aspects. My chest, I'm lucky enough that it grows pretty well, so I could maintain with very little volume, but I did 2 back days a week for probably 6 months to try and progress that, because that was the priority. I didn't have to worry so much about the other things. Or maybe it's like, you don't just do the regular back and biceps day, you do a back and triceps day. So then you can train your biceps on another day when they're super fresh, and you get the benefit of still being able to train your back and getting that extra bicep work in. And that push-pull aspect of the program has also been shown to, really get you some gains as well. So sequencing your workouts that allow you to do those counteractive movements, they've shown better gains in strength from those type of supersets and better gains in muscle. So something about the passive nature of the opposite movement. So say you do a bench press in a row. Something about the stretch, I think, and the passive tension on the chest while you're doing back actually helps you when you go to do the chest exercise. So that's something that's really cool. And also not selecting 2 giant exercises for every single lift. If you want to start your workout with like a bench press in a row, that's really good, but you're not going to be able to maintain that kind of movement for every single, superset that you do throughout the workout. So you're not going to be able to barbell bench press and barbell row and then incline dumbbell press and incline dumbbell row or something. You're just not going to be able to move that whole muscle group every single time. But just finding good push and pulls, maybe it's a big compound movement in isolation. Like I said, that's why I like something like back and triceps, or maybe like squats and hamstrings can work really well, because you're picking something that's not moving a lot on that movement and then isolating it in a different movement. So finding ways to select your exercises appropriately for that and sequence them appropriately. Like I said, I hate front squats. I hate good mornings, but I prioritize them and put them into my program because they're going to help me with what I need. So selecting the right exercises. If you want to grow your lats, make sure you're hitting your lats in all directions. If your program doesn't have that, then it's not the program for you. It's not going to get you the results that you want. So if you don't select the exercises appropriately, then it's just not going to work. And if you don't sequence them right, each workout is not going to go the way that you want. And then, again, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to be too tired. You're just not going to get the results. So all of these things have to factor into that program. So making sure that you know exactly how many days you can work out per week. What is the goal of the phase that you are in? How do you sequence and select the exercises for that phase? How do you make sure that that phase is progressed properly to get you to the goal by the end of it? And then how do you come out of that phase and go into the next one? All of these things are going to be clutch and key to know ahead of time, because also if you don't know that ahead of time, if I don't know that in, 4 months, I need to start training for that powerlifting meet and my program is running and I haven't reached the goal that I need, there's nothing I can do at that point. I have to stop everything and go into powerlifting training. But if I can roll myself and transition really nicely into it, I think that can be a really great way to do things. So making sure we macro cycle, and then we come all the way back to where are we now, and then we start to build out so that we can build each cycle and phase back into that macro cycle and build the perfect workout program for us. And that is the goal, is building the perfect workout program for us. There is no perfect workout program for everybody. There is only a perfect workout program for you. I really hope this helped you to build a perfect workout program for you. And I hope that you really enjoyed this second episode of the Lifting Cues podcast. If you have any, lifting questions or fitness, nutrition related questions, please hit me up at CoachQ_fitness on Instagram, Coach Q on Facebook. That is where I'm putting out most of my content and I'm able to, answer questions and interact with you the best. If you like the podcast, please like, rate, subscribe so that you don't miss weekly episodes and that I can get that feedback from you so that I know how to make this podcast better for you. That is the goal. This is a podcast for lifters by a lifetime lifter. I want this podcast to help you lift better and reach your goals. So I will see you next week. Thank you very much for listening.